The Coyote Twin, Vermilion's downtown theater. Providing entertainment Thursdays through Sundays. Tonight on Coyote News, a look at how students are recycling.
Plus, USD marketing tackles Instagram Reels.
Live from the Al Newharth Media Center, this is Coyote News.
Good evening and welcome to Coyote News. I'm Landon DeBoer.
And I'm Caitlin Sterling. We'll have a brief history of April Fool's Day, but first, the Vatican announced today that Pope Francis has been hospitalized for treatment of a respiratory infection. The Pope has a recent history of medical issues. He's often been seen with a walking stick and sometimes a wheelchair because of pain in his right knee. 2 years ago, he had surgery to remove part of his colon due to the common condition diverticulitis. This story is just breaking and is still developing. Every day, hundreds of students eat at the muck, but what they may not realize is that a lot of the things that they use can be recycled. Coyote News' Micah Warrington dove into what students can do to be more sustainable.
Recycling is important to keep a sustainable campus, but most of the time people do not know what they can and can't recycle.
We recycle plastic bottles, PET bottles. This PET means polyethylene terephthalate. A good example is the plastic bottle you use to drink water. We recycle paper, we recycle cardboard, we recycle glass, and we recycle aluminum cans.
Chinonso also stated that spending on single-use items is not healthy for the environment. Starting and maintaining a sustainable environment starts with each person. By recycling and using reusable bottles, it is just the beginning to make a more sustainable community. For Coyote News, I'm Michael Warrington.
The Missouri Valley Recycling Center is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30.
The infamous Grubhub fee has been removed. In an Instagram post, USD Dining said that they negotiated with the food ordering service to abolish the 59-cent transaction fee that was applied to all food orders in campus dining. The removal comes after criticism from students. Sodexo, USD's dining service, has yet to respond about the increase of meal prices. USD's marketing team is exploring new ways to promote the school, following a new state law that bans the popular TikTok app. The paid student influencers are now promoting USD by transitioning from TikToks to Instagram Reels. Reels are a new way to create and discover short, entertaining videos on Instagram. Kayla Salim is a USD influencer who uses Reels for promotional marketing.
The transition has been a little hard because as students that also just use TikTok, it's kind of easier to figure out that algorithm. We're kind of transitioning to Reels at the same pace as everyone else. It's a growing platform.
Prior to Governor Noem's ban of the app, the Wall Street Journal listed USD as the second most engaging TikTok account for U.S. universities. Marketing's goal is to generate even higher levels of engagement on Reels.
Coming up, we find out what makes a great teacher.
Plus, students climb to the top at the Coyote Classic.
In a world where embracing your identity is a privilege not usually given to the members of the LGBTQIA+ community,
the University of South Dakota Spectrum provides community and education for young queer scholars.
Sexuality and identity are defined on spectrums.
And having a community of open-minded, inclusive peers provides safety. Spectrum is one reason all Coyotes can call the University of South Dakota their home.
is Coyote News.
Saturday is April Fool's Day, and Coyote News' Quinn Masick has the answers to your holiday questions.
Hey guys.
April Fool's Day, the classic holiday where people pull harmless pranks on each other. But you might be wondering, how did this holiday come into existence? Well, unfortunately, there's no one correct answer for that. However, there are a plethora of theories throughout history. The most popular theory involves the French in 1564. Before 1564, April 1st was the start of the new year, according to the Julian calendar. However, King Charles IX decided to adopt the Gregorian calendar, making January 1st the beginning of the year. But because information took a lot longer to spread during this time, there were still people who thought April 1st was the start of the new year, even years after the change was made. These people were called April Fools, and people would shame them for celebrating on an incorrect day. Slowly over the course of time, this evolved into a holiday where you would play harmless pranks on your friends. Even big companies have celebrated this holiday in their own ways. In 2018, PayPal announced that they were adding a feature that would let users print money straight from their phones. In 2021, Duolingo created a toilet paper roll that would help you learn a new language in the bathroom. And of course, in 2021, Bud Light announced that they had created pizza-flavored seltzers. But these are all pranks to celebrate April Fool's Day. So the next time you find confetti in your bed or a kick me sign on your back, just remember where this fun, harmless holiday came from. For Coyote News, I am Quinn Masick.
Again, April Fool's Day is Saturday, so be prepared.
There are 3 new businesses making their way to Vermilion. It was announced at this week's City Council meeting that Goodwill will open a store within the next year on land that the company has already purchased. Along with Goodwill, the previous Speedy Mart on Cherry Street has been purchased for development.
USD education students learn more every day about how to become an effective educator. Coyote News' Callie Connors finds out more about the future generation of instructors.
I think what makes a good professor is like a professor that cares about like each student. Like there might be like big classes, but like even professors that like can say your name and like who like care about you.
What makes a good professor, in my opinion, is when they actually take an interest in your personal life and your success. They don't just hand out the assignments and grade them.
I think a good professor is passionate about what they're teaching. They don't just like read off the slides, but give real world examples and stories that help apply what they're teaching to real life.
Every student defines a good teacher differently, but all teachers were students first. Instructors can inspire their students' careers, especially when they choose to be a fellow educator. One education professor says that a large part of choosing this career path comes from positive experiences with past teachers.
Since I work with pre-service teachers or people preparing to become teachers, that's something I always ask them at the beginning of the semester, what inspired them to be a teacher. And most often, or very often, it is a teacher that they've had that has inspired them to go into the profession.
During college, education professors help future teachers learn how they want to operate their classrooms. Professors also teach their students how to teach. Having good professors to guide them is essential for their careers.
There is a lot of modeling by the faculty. We model a lot of what effective teaching would look like. So when they're learning some content, we'll pull in some of the instructional practices that they can use with their own students, and they'll engage in it as they're learning the content. But on another level, they're also learning about these instructional strategies that they can use with their own students.
USD's School of Education works to cultivate future educators. With guidance from their professors, education students can learn to become those who inspire. For Coyote News, I'm Callie Connors.
Thanks, Callie. Currently, South Dakota is in a teacher shortage. Ramadan's a holy month in the Islamic calendar in which Muslims observe fasting from dawn until sunset. This includes many USD students. Coyote News' Carter Linke is live in the muck to learn more. Carter?
Many students across campus are beginning to celebrate Ramadan. I'm here with Karar Hussein and Danish Ahid to discuss how USD is supporting students celebrating. Hi, could you tell us a little bit more about how you celebrate Ramadan?
So Ramadan is basically the ninth month of the Muslim calendar, the Islamic calendar. So we just do fast from the dawn until the sunset, and yeah.
And how has USD helped accommodate for your fasting hours?
I feel like there was a resolution we were talking about in SGA, how people could get class exemptions in classes if they were fasting due to religious reasons. I don't think that resolution has been over here. Then again, dining hours haven't been really accommodating in terms of Ramadan. Like, people usually have to prepare their before dawn meals before sleeping or something, and then they have to get their food before the dining closes at 7 because sundown is like 7:50 and dining closes at 7 now. Also, it would be appreciated a lot by Muslim students if we could get halal food, especially in Ramadan, because that's like the holy month and you want to be doing everything that is according to Islam. So, yeah.
And for students who haven't fasted before, can you explain what your average day might look like?
So it's like we just wake up, like we sleep at the normal schedule and just wake up for the dawn and you just eat something. And then after eating, I would prefer just going to the bed again, but like people don't do that. And then till the sunset, you just don't eat anything or drink, but like it's like normal, you're going with the classes. But to be honest, after like done with my day by 5, I just go bed and just wake up like I'd iftar, like to eat something.
And how is celebrating Ramadan different in Vermilion than it is at home?
Oh, I think it's a lot different. Like at home in Ramadan, you would see like people sending food to each other's houses as the time for iftar approaches, or maybe you would be invited to other people's, to like your relatives' houses, your friends' houses for iftar. Like iftar is a time when you break your fast at sundown, and then the timing of the restaurants totally changes. You would be seeing restaurants open till like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. till night, even at like, for the meals before the sun goes up. So yeah, it's a lot different, I guess.
And then what are some other ways that USD might be able to support students that are celebrating Ramadan?
So I will say everything is going good well. Like I would just mention like if they can increase the timings for the dining maybe, because like it just ends at 8. So if they can just do that so that people can gather, because like Ramadan is more about like if the home country, it's more about like people just get together at a place, they sit down and have an iftar together at a big place or something, and like have a lot of cuisines. So it's like good if like all Muslim students can gather at the dining and just eat together. That would be a good addition to that.
Thank you both for joining us today. Live from the Muck for Coyote News, I'm Carter Linke.
Thanks, Carter. Ramadan month ends locally on April 20th with the celebration of Eid.
For students who love adventures and enjoy seeking challenges, there's one campus organization that actively promotes such experiences. USD's Climbing Club hosted their annual Coyote Classic climbing competition on Saturday at the Wellness Center. With 3 different divisions, all levels and ages of climbers were able to participate. Logan Picorni is vice president of the organization. She says that it's a fun experience for all those involved.
So there's 3 levels that we go off of, but we really kind of don't. There's beginner, there's intermediate, and then there's advanced. Most people are in beginner just because even myself, I'd probably do beginner if you haven't been practicing a lot and things like that. But more of our experienced climbers who come in quite frequently go for our higher ones.
The competition hosted over 25 participants. More than $500 were raised for the student organization.
Next on Coyote Sports, another men's basketball starter has hit the transfer portal.
And an update on renovations to the USD's softball field.
Day in and day out. From one field on to the next. Dedicated, restorative, and driven. To the American farmer who represents the roots of our country, we thank you for all you do.
This is Coyote News.
The softball team's field will be getting a makeover.
And the track and field teams competed in 3 different states. This is Coyote Sports. I'm Cindy Colin.
And I'm Callie Connors. A second starter on the men's basketball team has added his name to the transfer portal. AJ Plitzwhite entered the portal as a graduate transfer with 2 years of eligibility left. Plitzwhite averaged 11.7 points per game on over 40% shooting from the field and from 3. Plitzwhite joins Tassos Kamateros and Keaton Kuchar as the 3 men's basketball players to explore their options in the portal.
The softball team is scheduled to play a 3-game series against Summit League opponent Kansas City starting on Saturday. Last weekend, they dealt with weather complications, but were able to win 2 games against UND. In game number 1, Clara Edwards pitched a 4-hit shutout, and the Coyotes won 3-0. Game 2 saw the Coyotes offense total 11 hits, helping out Edwards, who tallied 8 strikeouts on the afternoon. The Coyotes won 9-1. Because of bad weather, the 3-game series was cut to 2, and the last game may be made up at a later date. To begin Summit League play, Coyote softball has been unable to host home games because USD's field is still under renovation. Coyote News' Zadia Abbott finds out how the team has dealt with limited access to their home field.
USD initiated construction for updates to the official Nygaard softball field to meet NCAA Division I standards, with the date for renovation completion scheduled for early March. Due to weather complications, the outside field remains unfinished. Head coach Robert Wagner explains how moving training to the Dome has affected the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge that we're trying to overcome. I mean, we play outside. All of our games are outside, and most of the time we play in dirt and grass and the sun. And so not being able to practice those elements, we don't have dirt or grass or sun in the Dome. So that is definitely a challenge that we overcome. That's always a challenge for us. It's just more so of a challenge this year because we haven't been able to go outside.
The team hopes to take their practice outside to a field with a new backstop and updated fencing, windscreens, and netting by mid-April, giving them more than a month with the renovated fields before the start of the Summit League tournament. For Coyote News, I'm Zadie Abbott.
Because of the continued field renovations, Coyote softball will move their 3-game series this weekend to Kansas City.
USD has 10 different sanctioned sports for women's athletics, but that wasn't always the case. Coyote News' Carly Phillips is live in the muck to tell us more about the 50th anniversary of Title IX at USD. Carly?
Thanks, Callie. I'm here with Athletic Director David Herbster to talk a little bit about Title IX and its role here at USD. David, first and foremost, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Now, as we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX, what are some of the biggest things that you've noticed that seem to have impacted student athletes the most?
Part of it, I think, is really not only the sports offerings that we have for the student athletes themselves, but I think it's the success of our student athletes, the facilities that we've been able to build to provide opportunities for our student athletes. I think it's really been impactful. But more importantly, it's about how we look to treat every single student athlete as an individual. And I think that just the culture of being a family, I think, is what's really helped us move forward.
And how is the athletic department working to make sure that student athletes at USD know what Title IX is and know how they're protected under it?
It's interesting because as we do explain to all of our student athletes what Title IX is, sometimes it's hard to grasp. And it's much different now than it was, let's say, 25 years ago. Right now, so many of our female athletes have grown up under the umbrella that Title IX has provided the offerings or the sports offerings in the insurance that there's equity and equality and access to sports. Many of our female athletes really don't know what Title IX is because they've never known anything different other than opportunities. And so, our faculty athletic rep, Dr. Jessica Messer-Smith, will spend a little bit of time touching on it, but we really don't spend a whole lot of time talking about it because I do think what they feel when you're here is, sports there's different needs that different sports has, but overall what we've tried to provide for all of our student athletes is an equitable opportunity and access to competition and training.
And so how does USD work to ensure that they're up to code with Title IX?
Sure. So there's 3 different ways that you can comply with Title IX, and there's 3 different prongs, and we use kind of what's called the third prong, which is interests and abilities. So that means surveying not only our current student-athlete population, but also working with a consultant to kind of evaluate the whole region that we participate in to make sure that we're offering the sports out there that students are interested in.
And you used to play basketball at Virginia Tech at one point. Have you noticed any major changes with Title IX since then, and I guess in the era that we're in now?
I think it's almost night and day. There weren't, back in the early 1980s, and I am dating myself, there weren't really as many opportunities for girls and females in sports. There weren't so many, there weren't summer camps, there wasn't summer access, club sports, things like that, all the different offerings that we have now. So I think for the youth growing up, the offerings are exponentially more, but seeing how sports are treated in college, I can tell you now there's a much more equitable treatment and support and emphasis on women's athletics than certainly 30 years ago.
David, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Live in the muck for Coyote News, I'm Carly Phillips.
Thanks, Carly. Title IX helps ensure equal opportunities for all students. The track and field teams will head to Texas this weekend. Last week, the team was split up in 3 different states. During the Aztec Invitational in San Diego, the women's 4x1 team of Erin Kinney, Sammy Neal, JC Pulse, and Anna Robinson set a new school record, finishing with a time of 44.95 seconds. That same day at the Wildcat Classic in Nebraska, 4 Coyotes finished in the top 10 for throwing events. Quincy Warren and Wyatt Proofs finished 5th and 6th in the men's discus throw. On Friday at the Raleigh Relays, senior Murga Gameda set a new program record in the 10,000 meters.
The soccer team will host a pair of games on Saturday. This last weekend, they played Minnesota State Mankato and Iowa State. USD lost both matchups. They dropped Game 1 2-0 against Mankato and lost to ISU 2-1. Lexi Wood scored the lone goal of the day for the Coyotes. Saturday's matchups with Augustana and Briar Cliff will be the Coyotes' first home matches of the spring season. The college basketball season is coming to a close with 4 teams left in both the men's and women's tournaments.
We asked our followers who they thought would win both tournaments.
On the men's side, Florida Atlantic, San Diego State, Miami, and UConn remain.
And South Carolina, Iowa, LSU, and Virginia Tech are the last 4 on the women's side. Sydney, who do you think is going to win?
Well, I'm currently undecided on the men's, but I'm rooting for Iowa for the women's. They haven't been to the Final Four since 1993, I believe, so I'm really rooting for them. How about you, Callie?
I'm the same with Iowa for the women's side. For the men's, though, I am rooting for Florida Atlantic because I like an underdog. But it looks like most of our followers think that UConn will win.
And for the women, our followers chose South Carolina to win the title. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how the games play out.
And that's it for Coyote Sports.
When we come back, we ask students about their worst first date. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Quinn Guinat, president of the Anime Club. And sure, we watch a lot of anime and talk a lot about manga, but the club, it's so much more than that. It is really a place for people with similar interests to come together. This is a very relaxing environment. There are tons of snacks, places to study, and a bunch of different types of anime we see every week. We meet every Tuesday in Become Room 340. So please, come be a part of this community.
This is Coyote News.
Spring is here, which means new possibilities and perhaps new relationships.
In this week's Out and About, we asked students what the worst first date would be.
Here's what they had to say.
The date having bad breath. Probably an amusement park, because I like hate amusement park rides. Like I hate roller coasters and stuff like that. So I'd definitely be like really scared. I want to go out and like have that be my first date.
She ain't brush her teeth, and I gotta sit there the whole date, and her breath stink. But I can't be rude because it's the first date.
Okay, so he makes me watch The Wolf of Wall Street, and then we talk about stocks for the remainder of the date.
My idea of a worst first date is if they don't have a clean room or they stink.
If for some reason they thought that we should like go on a run or do like a marathon, I'd say absolutely not.
Making me meet his mom or like his entire family reunion, that'd be really awkward. It's happened.
I would say when they choose to do laundry on the bed and ask you to get off of their bed.
Bad breath. If you got bad breath, that's a cutthroat right there. I'm walking away.
I like to talk a lot, so if the girl's not talking, and at any point if I feel like I'm talking too much, then yeah, it's a bad date.
When they don't show up.
Those are some dates to forget, some dates to remember. This Friday, a piece of chewing gum will end in auction on eBay. It's been listed for $40,000, but this is no regular piece of gum. It comes straight from the mouth of Robert Downey Jr. The eBay user claims that he was able to obtain Downey's chewed gum after the actor appeared at Iron Man directors Jon Favreau's Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony last month. The seller says that Downey jokingly put the gum onto the star, presumably leaving it there. It was then when the seller managed to grab it. It's being sold in what the user describes as the same condition as he got it, and will be shipped out in a plastic container so that it can be tested for DNA. And that's all for Coyote News.
Pick up the Valance issue for a look at Ukrainian students' exhibit titled An Unissued Diplomas.
Listen to 91.1 for news updates throughout the week and for coverage of your USD sports.
Don't forget to follow our social media pages for daily updates and the weekly poll. Have a great night.